Welcome to the Mariana Dalto Show. Today I have an amazing guest and friend. Her name is Liz Forman. She's a certified story brand guide who takes a unique approach to marketing and business growth. She uses human design as a practical tool to help entrepreneurs uncover their authentic voice, simplify their message, and create profit in their business. She's here to talk about how she blends these approaches to help business owners stop forcing strategies that don't fit with them and get clear on how to market and sell with confidence. Welcome, Liz, to the show.
Thank you so much, Mariana. I'm so happy to be here with you.
And Liz is not new to the show. This is the second time
I
coming
know.
to be a guest. So I'm
I
so excited
know.
to have her back and keep bringing new content, new ideas, new insights and ways to help businesses and people grow. So thank you so much
Absolutely.
for coming over again.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here. When I was here last time, I focused so much on mindset, which is always going to be a through line in what I do. We're
Yes.
always going to bring our mindset, but this takes it a step further. So I'm really
I
excited
know. I'm
to
excited
talk
and
about it.
I'm part of that. So I'm so excited to talk about human design. So
Awesome.
all right,
Wonderful.
so first, for those who might be new and never heard of it, can you please explain what human design is, like in simple terms for business owners, so then they kind of have an idea what we're going to be talking today in the show?
Absolutely. So human design is everybody that is familiar with human design is going to have their own interpretation. But the way I use human design for people that are not familiar with it is really like it's a business tool, right? It's a way for us to map our strengths, our weaknesses, how we interact with people, how we build teams, how we create our messaging. It's kind of like an x-ray, right? It's like looking into us and looking at where our strengths are and where we might have some blocks that stand in the way of how we do things. That's how I use it. People are going to use it differently, but I have found such a great application with using it in business because I think so often we get into using frameworks, right? Or formulas of how things are supposed to be, but they never take the person into consideration. So if you show up in business and you're trying to follow a formula, or I'm doing the framework and it's not working, chances are it's because you haven't been taken into consideration your uniqueness. That's what human design offers. It offers a way to look at the person as an individual, as a unique being, and kind of put that into the formula. And
So
so
it's kind of like looking at, okay, there's kind of like a formula, but you gotta take into consideration how you are as a person, what makes you feel good about it, and maybe leverage the way you feel and think and makes you feel like this is the right path for you, and it just explain a little bit more because that's how I feel about it through my process with you and the report. So
so each of us, like we're all unique, right? We're just as unique as our fingerprints. Like we
mhm.
all have a special way of doing things, of processing information, of speaking, of believing, of interacting. We all have different strengths and weaknesses when it comes to just us as who we are. And also, we have potential that we can grow into as that unique person. So, what human design offers is kind of like, oh, based on who you are, this is something that you can lean into that will help. Or this is how maybe these things have been showing up for you. Maybe don't lean into those areas so much because those might not be where you want. Your strengths are over here. Leverage your strengths. And I think so many of us in business, if we're trying to go into a formula and do things, we don't use our own strengths. We don't take those into considerations. We're not leaning into them. And then we're like, oh, the formula doesn't work. Oh, the framework's not working. But what we haven't done is used who we are in putting that in that little puzzle piece. It's kind of like a puzzle, right? Using that puzzle piece to make the whole thing fit. So, like, we have different centers in our body, like our communication center or our conceptualization center. Understanding that each of us has a different way of speaking, a different way of operating in the world, a different way of communicating with people energetically, like, who we speak to, whatever, however that looks. Those are all strengths that we have, but not all of us have the same strengths, right?
Mm,
And so some of us might be really good at being a speaker and being a teacher and being able to share information and just have a resonance in our voice that people can hear because we are able to command that. Where other people are going to be, where that first person might be able to do that in a big room and be able to reach many people, other people are going to be geared more towards doing that on an individual level and really have an ability to speak one-on-one and really pierce that the other person, like in the sense of really getting down to the important stuff. And that person, if you threw them into a big room, they would be like, what am I doing here? So,
yeah, right. Because everyone has different strengths and things that
right.
they enjoy. So, what happens if someone tries to follow a framework that doesn't really fit for them?
I think
How that?
Yeah, I think that happens often, right? And what ends up happening typically is overworking and burnout, or a problem with balance, a problem with finding their routine, a problem with trying to speak to everybody or trying to speak to people that don't really resonate with what their message is. Human design is so fascinating because it can help us really fine tune our message and speak to the people that want to hear what it is that we say based on our experiences, based on how we operate in the world. And it allows us the space to kind of step into who we are and our experiences and what we've learned, and then share them in a way that makes sense to a certain group of people, right? And but also know who your people are, know what they're looking for based on their design.
So, since you're speaking about communication and having your own voice, why do so many entrepreneurs feel stuck with their messaging or their marketing? How maybe this human design can help them, feel unstuck or do something different that can help them like move forward?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's twofold. I think that when we're trying to create messaging, we don't quite know what we're trying to say. Like so many of us are so passionate about what it is that we're doing. But when it comes to speaking about that, we get a little stuck, right? We trip over our words. We don't know how to say. Maybe we go on for a really long time. Maybe we don't give enough information and we cut it too short. And I think what human design does is allows us to understand ourselves, understand our best ways to communicate, understand kind of who we communicate with best, and how to position that messaging so that they hear it, so their ears can hear it in a way that makes sense to their ears, right? So if some people really need a lot of explanation, and that happens to be who we're speaking to, people that need a lot of explanation, then you're going to want to really get into the details of what you're trying to share and make sure that you cover all the bases. But then there's another group out there that may be like, I just want to take action. I just want to get to it really quick. I need to know the basics, and that's all I need. You're going to have a different communication style with people like that, right? So, what human design does is offers us this way to be able to speak to them. But if you don't know who they are, you can feel like you're standing in a room full of people trying to share your message, and it's not landing because your people can't hear you. And so our messaging gets lost. We don't know how to say what we're saying. We don't know the way to say it. And then we feel like our messaging isn't landing, and that leaves us feeling stuck. And this cycle of constantly doing leaves us feeling burned out. And that's why a lot of entrepreneurs not only get stuck, but like either try and find somebody else to do their messaging for them or quit or just don't want to do it, don't believe they can do it. But they can. They can.
Yeah.
They can really dial in what they're saying based on who they are, based on their experiences, based on what they're here to share, based on what they do.
So
And
it's a mix of both. It's a mix of from our side, understanding who we are, how we like to communicate, but on the other side, do some research on who you're speaking to, who's your audience, because that's how you would approach your communication differently depending who your audience is. So it's a
yeah,
two-way where, yeah, I love to be this way, but actually because my audience needs more hand-holding, then I will just speak differently,
yes.
still within my voice, the way I approach how I serve clients based on what I offer, right?
That's it. It allows this understanding like a two-way street, right? It's not just you with a megaphone trying to yell your message, but it's you speaking your message and also you understanding who that message is going to. So it kind of goes beyond niche because
Mm-hmm.
niche is this idea, right, of I've got this idea of who I'm speaking to, and I'm speaking to them because of this reason. And you kind of whittle it down to the understanding of who they are. But I like to take it a step further and connect them to like why you're speaking to that person that has all those things, right? The demographic of the person. And also energetically, who are they? How do they need to hear your message in a way that lands, in a way that you can get convicted about, you can have energy around, and you can share so that it makes sense exactly to how they need to hear it. So it's not just you know the niche, but you know how the niche needs to hear your message.
Right. Yeah. So, so let's talk about, so you are a certified story brand guide.
I am.
So how do you blend the story brand messaging with the human design insights or the human design tool? Like how does that work, and how these two frameworks can help people have a better voice or a better way to communicate?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I'm kind of like operating in two worlds, but they actually work synergistically. So story brand is a formula, right? It is a framework that we use to make sure that our messaging lands. Um, so it invites people into a story, it gives a very specific formula, and it helps clear up any confusion. It lays the groundwork for how our brains make sense of a story. But human design says, let's take it a step further. Let's understand you, who you are energetically in this. So, me as Liz, who I understand who I am. So, as I'm filling out the story to talk to my people, I've done that work of knowing who I am and knowing energetically who I'm speaking to so that I can take a really true understanding of who they are and place that within the framework, right?
Okay.
So does that
Yeah.
okay, so basically when the idea of when you're speaking to everybody, you're speaking to nobody is
Yeah.
a big problem, right? Like that's the overarching problem. But I think when we really dial in our story brand methodology, which is how our minds love to get invited, it loves to create curiosity, but it's really going to create curiosity with a very specific group of people if you understand who that group of people is and how to speak to them in a way that makes sense. So it starts to make the story brand method even like come together even
Yeah,
easier.
more powerful.
Exactly, exactly. And really makes sense to like, you know, it just keeps sharpening that point. making it more penetrating into the market in which we want to get to, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
whatever, because we know that we're very passionate about what we do. We know that we really want to share this message. We know this helps to fine tune that to get that into that market even more because it's dialing in the framework and dialing in the people and really helping to work those two things together.
Okay. So it's clear about the story brand, this, how that's a framework that people can use. And then you have on your website a report that people can kind of like a summary report that where people can get the gist of it, what human design is for them. I did the report myself.
Yay.
So I'm a type, my output was I'm a generator
Yes. You
and I'm a
surely are a
builder.
generator.
Say that again?
I said you surely are a
Oh,
generator.
yeah,
I
I'm
know that.
100%. So the report is spot on. Like it's
Yeah.
exactly who I am. It was like hilarious. I'm like, oh my gosh, she knows me. Like, so it was very good. So I loved seeing that summary. It gives you kind of like the type of person you are or your voice or how you are. You can explain better, but
Yeah, yeah.
it really made me think like, okay, that's exactly the passion that I show in my business and how I do things is exactly how came out in that report. Tell us a little bit more about, like, let's say if you want to give the example of a generator that is mine, or what other examples of people come through with the report where maybe they can be curious and go and get their own summary.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course. Yes. I would love that for people to go because what the summary and this is a really just a basic summary. Human design is such a multi-fold process. Like it's a really big idea and it can take people, like anything, any area of study, it's going to take people years to really start learning to differentiate between this, between that. And that's why it's important that when people have studied it, that they share it, but share it in a way that makes sense to them so it can make sense to their people, right? So what I created was a human design, a personalized report or a personalized summary for people in business. And so this goes through and tells people, what their type is, their profile, and their strategy and authority. So I'll explain what those are. Your type, as you said, is a generator, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is kind of how you operate in the world in the sense of like how you set things up, how you get work done, like how you're going to operate in your business.
But
Gen
what I like about it specifically, that I was like, this is so me, is because yes, I am a generator, but what I like about it, the fact that it says when it's the right thing.
That's
Like
it.
I don't just generate to generate.
No,
Like I
you're not
generate
a
the things that
Duracell battery.
so that's what I loved about it.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what I was going to say is that you have to do what lights you up. You're not
Yes.
here just to do. Although some people have different language. So there's the traditional terms of human design. There's business focused terms for human design. There's, more of like some people do spiritual words for human. Everybody's going to have a different interpretation. There's going to be purists. There's always going to be purists, and there's going to be people that have gone and done their own thing. So you get to make up your mind about it. It's your individual design. We're not here to all do the same thing. That's what human design, the grand human design experiment is. But when we have our type, when we know our type, it allows us to know how we can do work. Well, for you as a generator, for me as a generator, we have to do what we want to do. And it's not that we can't do those other things, but we will not tap into the energy, that sustainable energy in our bodies to do. I can tell you, and I'm sure you have experienced this, when you're doing what excites you and lights you up, even if it has to do with work, like when you're doing it, you could do it forever. You probably lose
Yeah,
time.
time
You're
flies.
like, you're like,
I'm like,
what's
this is
happening
amazing.
here?
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely. Yes.
yes. But if you get stuck doing work, that it goes against that, that you're like, I'm just doing this because I have to, it is like pushing that boulder uphill. It is like really like you're relentless, right? It's like just kind of like it's just
Yeah.
on you.
And
Yeah.
that's important for businesses because you want to be consistent on whatever you decide to do in business. Otherwise, doing one thing and then stop doing it, it's not going to generate the revenue or the success that you're looking for. So I
That's
love the
right.
fact that the generator report says, yes, that's how you are, but it's also, you have the fire of like continuing doing it because
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
your thing. You
And
enjoy
so if
doing
you
it.
know what that is, right? Like if you know this about you and you know what that is, you can go into situations and say, okay, I've got a lot of energy. I can get a lot of work done here. This is how I'm going to do it because I know how it feels when I'm doing it. If you don't have that understanding about yourself, you could be in work that you're doing that you're wondering, why is my day hard every day? Why do I hate what I'm, and think it's something's wrong with you. And it's not that something's wrong with you. It just might be that the area that you're focusing on in work might not be the right match. How do we look at that and find the right match? So that's the benefit of knowing kind of how you operate, what your type is, because some people are here to bring ideas, right? To initiate projects, to initiate. Those would be called manifestors, and they're here to really be the fire starter, where generators are here to tend the fire and keep that fire going long term. And all of the types work together. We all have a part to create like this on the grand scheme of things, right? We're all going to have different jobs that we specialize in or that we can really do naturally. That's also going to be complementary to other people. We all don't have to be everything to everyone. And I think that's what human design offers us, is an understanding of who we are so that we can operate in the world in a way that doesn't burn our candle, our energy up, but allows it to kind of go long term.
And I like because the report talks about that trust the voice of your body, and it's so true. I mean,
Yeah.
you just listen to your body and you know if this is the right thing to do or
Yes.
not. The way it makes you feel happy or it helps you understand what you enjoy doing. It could be business, it could be personal, it doesn't matter. But
Yes.
it's trusting your body on how it feels like doing X, Y, and Z.
And but so many of us are not taught that growing up, or we're taught
No.
to just that doesn't matter, you know. And in business, that doesn't matter. You shouldn't have, but what if it did? And what if it does matter? And what if we can actually lean into that and make our businesses even better and make our lives even better just by being naturally who we are? And
Yeah.
it offers just a great amount of information. It also offers information of how to make decisions, of how to work with people, how people see you. And that's how we take that information and plug that into messaging and marketing, how people see us, and then like how we see ourselves and picking our work with that. It's this little
And that's
puzzle.
so different. How people see us and how we see ourselves, it's so different. It's just
Yeah.
hilarious when you
But
get
what
the
if you knew
feedback of
it?
that.
What if you didn't have to guess about that? What if you knew it? And then you knew kind of how people see you or what they're expecting from you. Like for me, my profile is a 3-5. So I am here to make mistakes and to share those mistakes, to let people know it's okay to make mistakes, and to let people know that we learn from those, but we have to be willing to learn from those. So all the stuff I talk about is really about kind of life from the messy middle of figuring it out. It's kind of like the idea that what we can glean from our experiences, well, for me, from someone that has had those experiences, I made those mistakes so you don't have to. Let me share what I've learned along the way, because not everybody energetically is made to make mistakes, right? Like, I mean, everybody's making mistakes,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean? But not necessarily to learn from those mistakes or to understand how to extract the information from those mistakes. But that's
Yeah.
my strength. That's what I know about me. So, and I've had a life full of doing stuff, full of experiences. I'm experiential. That's why I mean, I know that about me, and I've known that about me long before I even understood human design
Mm.
and things that I like went through. Like I used to sell cars. Like I was a car salesman. And when I tell people that, because my background's in biology, I was all, like it's like ping-ponging through life but I learned something and I have not forgotten all of my experiences. I
Yeah,
learned
you learn from every single experience, regardless, like it doesn't
absolutely.
matter. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
learned how to extract information from each job so that I can share what I learned so that people don't have to go through those experiences. Because again, we're not all meant to have a million different jobs and do different things and constantly be looking, but I am, and I know that about me. So I'm
That's
totally,
amazing.
yeah.
I love it. So how can people get this report? Where do they can they go to get their own report, their own
Yes,
human design summary so they kind of
yes.
start like learning a little bit more about themselves?
Absolutely. So I will share the specific URL for the landing page that they can go to. But if for some reason they can't get there, they can always just go to my website. It's on my homepage. And it's just all you have to do is fill out the information in the area that says get your personalized human design summary for business.
And what's your website?
That's on my website, lizforman.me. That's LIZFORMAN.me.
Okay.
Go to that all the way to the bottom, fill out the information. It will present you with an image. Human design image is a little wonky. Not everybody understands it. Don't get distracted with that. Also, when you do that, it will say, click here to download your personalized summary. That's what you want to click on. That's going to give you the report that explains that image. And this is a summary. This is a really basic, just dipping your toe into what human design for business can offer, but it at least gets you started. And then, there's always ways I talk about how to reach me if you have more questions and want to go deeper into understanding who you are, how this relates to your business and messaging and marketing and all of the good stuff. So this is just a way to dip your toe in.
Yeah, this is amazing. So I strongly recommend for the audience, the listeners, to go get the report, get an understanding who you are and how that fits within you or your business. And then I would strongly recommend continuing the conversation with Liz to expand on what you're learning from the report because I got a lot of feedback from Liz after, and it was amazing to learn even more after you get the first step with the summary report. So thank you, Liz. I really appreciate it.
It is my pleasure. It was wonderful for me to learn about you even on a deeper level. It was such a gift. So I really appreciate you having me here to
Yes.
share this information because I just think this is the tool that really helps us tap in to so much about us, so much about our business, and take us out of those cycles of spinning our wheels and burnout and move us into really creating a business that is aligned with who we are so that we can get our voice out there, we can speak to the right people, and we can start making money in our business, right?
Yes, yes. And the communication
Continue
piece is
making
so
money.
key. It's so key for your business, for everyone. So that the fact that you combine story brand with human design is amazing because there's I notice with my clients and the networking events that I go to that communication is such a piece that people are still missing, not understanding how to do it better. So this could be the first step to understand how to maybe, approach it differently. If you haven't been successful at, attracting leads, attracting the sales, attracting, the revenue that you're looking for in your business. So,
If I can bring this up real quick, I just want to tell you sometimes it's as simple as just a tiny little tweak that
mm,
starts to move us. I have a client where I took his design, I looked at it, I didn't even share much with him. I just looked at it and I asked him a couple questions. We tweaked that, and I suggested based on these, like, well, he told me what he would do. And I said, well, what would this look like for you? It was a very small tweak. He had the idea, he figured out how to lean into it. It made a 300% difference in his revenue that he was bringing in monthly
Wow, that's
after when we were
amazing.
tracking kind of where he was to where he is now. When he told me that, I nearly fell out of my chair because
Wow.
this has been something just over the past 6 months that we had that conversation. I kept bringing it up, but it wasn't the main focus. It was just slight tweaks of understanding who he is and how he works with people, what his strengths are, how to do that. He made that change, everything shifted. It's fantastic. So it really does, it doesn't have to be like that. We don't have to all like start totally embracing our design or living life from this, but those little tweaks, you take that information and change up your messaging or hone in your messaging and put yourself out into the world, it is a game changer. It is a game
Amazing. Thank you, Liz. Appreciate it. Thank you. Hope the
changer.
audience got some good nuggets of information to, experiment, lean forward to something different. I will put all the details in the show notes for the audience to reach out to Liz, get the seminar report, and, ask any questions as well if they want to. So thank you, Liz. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mariana. It was wonderful to be here with you again. And I look
Yes.
forward maybe again in the future. We'll see.
All right. Take care.
Thank you so much. And thank you
Bye.
to your listeners.
Thanks.